Welcome back. This is the Super Intelligent Podcast with Emily Forlini and the very brilliant Mike Elgin. So today...
That's an exaggeration, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't going to let you respond.
I prefer vaguely brilliant, but that's just me.
I think you're brilliant. I always like your takes.
And likewise.
Thank you. So...
We didn't call it super intelligent for nothing. Anyway, so
no.
What's going on?
Well, we're in between the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, or other holidays you might celebrate in December. So it's always, I think, a good time to kind of reflect on tech usage, how we're connecting to our families, and kind of just take that pause from work. Are you feeling like you don't want to work at all, or is it just me?
I'm feeling like I really, really want to work. Okay. Sounds ridiculous, but I'm so busy with non-work stuff and with other things that are like other people's work, stuff like that. So I am just dying, like, to do the job that I've set up for myself. I need to be sitting down and working for like 12 hours a day. And on average, I would say I put in like 4 hours a day, sometimes 8 hours, 1 hour. So I'm moving around so much. But that's just right now. That's just this time of year. That's just this last year.
It's busy. A lot of family events.
Yeah, but I'm really feeling the pull of unfinished tasks, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not a good feeling. A to-do list that never gets done. Yeah, I'm feeling like everyone, at PC Mag is just kind of just like, all right, we're good for the year. Like, don't message me on Slack. Like, I'm just going to plow through what I have to get through and then get to the holidays and just chill. But so one of my last pieces for the year that I've been working on, I have 3 in the hopper. This one I'm still doing the reporting because it's just kind of fun. And it's about people who have reverted to flip phones. So they made the very bold choice to ditch the typical smartphone. And I've been talking to about 6 or 7 people all over the country, different ages, although they are all under 45, about, what it's like. And they have tales from the other side, like what are they missing and what are they gaining? And it's been very, very interesting and convincing to me. So it's been really cool.
And these are American people?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny because you'd think that older people would have nostalgia for flip phones, not people who have never used one before. So it is kind of surprising, but I guess it's unsurprising in the sense that there's nostalgia for all kinds of things people have never had, like, vinyl records and things like that. There's a lot of that, all the young people in my life are all using like Polaroid cameras.
Yeah.
I'm like, the pictures are horrible. What do you do? It's fun. But anyway, it's clearly a good trend to get people off of the addictive qualities of smartphones.
Yeah, and it's actually not nostalgia. That hasn't come up. I think a couple people, their friends and family, thought it was going to be nostalgia, and they were like, "Oh, it's just like you're buying a record player and you're never going to use it." It seems to be very deep and profound for these people, and they really feel it's a positive direction for themselves and society. So I'll start with the youngest one, Brandon, 19. He's in college, and he, like many people, it's a direct reaction to seeing others constantly on their phones, being in groups of people where they're just sitting around on their phones, people unable to sit for a minute with their emotions or their boredom. And even for himself, like every, day, or anytime I have downtime, I would just go on social media. And just felt like he was wasting his life. He wasn't focusing on what he wanted to focus on. He and like many others I talked to, there's also a 24-year-old Allison. She said she got her screen time down from 6 to 7 hours just from like here and there little pieces. Now she just is like 30 minutes. And they're all like that. And they've had to find other things to do with their time. And they're very happy, all of them.
No, what's surprising about that is that this decision to switch phones to something that sort of puts you outside the loop of the social world that's happening. On a flip phone, you're not going to be using WhatsApp, for example. You're not going to be on social in the chat messages. You're not going to be using Snapchat. So like, that's impressive that a young person would want to do that. I have read this week that, as we know, in Australia, they've banned social networks for under 16 or phones in schools, something like that. They've done more banning. I should say that they're ahead of the world in banning such things. And they've interviewed high school students, for example, about, how do you feel about that? And they say, well, we're not really sure how we're going to function without the social stuff, but it's a huge relief.
Yeah.
And the reason it's a relief is because they don't have FOMO because they know that their friends are also disconnected during
Interesting.
the day. So,
Yeah.
so that's a decision that they didn't make. That's a decision that was made for them, and they seem to be fine with it because it was made for everyone. In this case, what you're talking about is kids who have a social circle where everybody else has a smartphone.
Yep.
That's a really tough. To me, it seems like a really tough decision to make.
Yeah, and I asked them, like, how long did it take you to make that decision? And most people, it was probably about a year or two, kind of like different situations, and they were taking stock of, also mistrust in the tech industry. They were just looking at what was around them, and it took a couple of years, but everyone I talked to is a lone wolf in their community. There's another guy in LA, 33. He works in the film industry, like in Hollywood. And so all these people they have the courage to like take out a flip phone in these social settings. And the two young people, I also talked to a 25-year-old in Zoe in Texas. And all three or four of the youngest people I talked to asked them about dating because, like dating apps and, does this hinder are people turned off? Like, are they like, you're a crackpot? Like, why are you using a flip phone? Why would I be with you? They all said that the opposite sex loves it. And they're drawn to their different choice. They think they're interesting. And they all kind of laughed and they were like, I thought it might be weird, but like, it's going great. It's a conversation starter. So it's like, they're not losing too much. They don't care about Snapchat because they've decided, I don't want to be on TikTok all day. I don't want to be on social media. I'm happy with this deep level of focus I've achieved. I'm connecting with the people I'm connecting with. I'm still able to meet up with people. Like I'm not missing out. Everything is perfectly fine.
And especially in a partner, the last thing you want in a partner is somebody who's not paying attention to anything or you or anything else. They're in some other world while you're sitting there. And that's really annoying. It's something that I'm sure a lot of people go through. I also have to say that objectively, flip phones are awesome because there's a physical aspect to talking on the phone and not talking on the phone. Like you can actually hang up on somebody, be like,
like, burp.
I'm fed up with you. Good day, sir. Click. And then, this just with the swiping on the smart screen, it just doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah, you have to throw it out the window now.
Yeah. And nothing beats an old fashioned landline phone from like AT&T, the big plastic thing that they would issue you because they're heavy. You could really slap, wham. And it was really satisfying. But I also have to say that the industry continues to confuse me as to why they haven't made the Matrix phone. Literally every person wants the Matrix phone.
I don't know. What is the Matrix phone?
You've seen the Matrix, of course, right?
I've seen the Matrix, but actually a really long time ago. That movie's pretty old. And I learned recently that Keanu Reeves is like 55. So I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure his grandchildren call him the one, but
well, he's on a play in New York right now. He's like on Broadway.
Really?
Yeah. So I could go see Keanu Reeves up there doing his thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Matrix, he is working in an office. He's a software developer and he gets a FedEx that contains a phone, and it's Morpheus calling him telling him that the agents are coming and to warn him to escape by climbing out the window. But he pulls out this phone and he pushes a button. And instead of it flipping out like this, the whole bottom goes like this. And then to close it, like
they
this.
had that. It wasn't like the slider phones.
I heard that there was somebody who did it, but they didn't quite do it in the same way. What you wanted to be like a spring-loaded switchblade, just goes whoosh,
right,
and, or a stiletto, I guess, and then be able to slam it back. Everybody wants that phone, and I wish somebody would make it.
Yeah.
And by everybody, of course, I mean myself.
I like your aggressive approach to different form factors of phones. You're like, I want to slam it. I want it to be like a switchblade.
Smartphones as an artifact are so inert. They just sit there. They don't move. They don't have any moving parts. They're just boring. And so I like the, the theatrics of manipulating a device like that. But that's just beside the point. So I'm curious.
It's not beside the point because there is something satisfying to tactile emotions that we've lost. It's like we're neither here nor there. We don't really get that satisfaction. So I do think there's something a little bit deeper psychological than I'm making fun of you, but it's kind of real.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm used to everybody making fun of me. That's nothing new to me. That makes perfect sense. But I will say that fidget spinners emerged around the same time that smartphones spinners, right? So fidget spinners have no function other than it's something to mess around with, some mechanical thing that moves and does like, and there are other things people do to have some moving object in their life, like they
Right.
spin pens and do all kinds of stuff. Like we need something to mess around with. Cigarette smokers have lighters and stuff, and it's like, people need something to do with their hands, and like a flip phone is a minor little sort of artifact that actually has a mechanical function that's related to your mode. So you open it and that sort of psychologically switches you into I'm talking on the phone now. And then when you
Hmm.
close it, you're like, I'm done talking on the phone. It sounds irrelevant, it sounds minor, but actually I think there's something
Yeah.
good about that because it's a physical sort of open and closed, this mode, that mode. Whereas with smartphones, we're always kind of half, our heads are always kind of half in the world of the phone.
Yeah, I feel that way about email too. I mean, if you've sent a letter recently, when you write that thing and you put it in, you lick the envelope, you put the stamp on, you're like, woo, I'm corresponding. It's totally different than sending an email.
Completely. And I wrote a piece, I think about a month and a half ago, about the power of old school media or low tech, I guess is what I was saying. And I feel like this kind of stuff we're talking about, right? This old timey stuff like flip phones and letters. These, with each passing year, as we get more into AI and higher tech and VR and all this kind of stuff, low tech is even more powerful.
Hmm.
So everybody used to send letters when I was younger. And if it was handwritten, if the address was handwritten and you received mail, you're like, whatever. But
Yeah.
if it was typed out, you're like, oh, this must be important. They're like, this
Yeah.
must be a big deal. And at some point that reversed.
Hmm.
Now they're just churning out electronically produced junk mail. And then every once in a while in your mail, you get something that's handwritten. You're like, oh, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
And so it's completely reversed. One of the things we do on Gastronomad Experiences, we write a little note to
Yeah,
people
it's
on the
nice.
card, and Amira actually seals it with wax,
Oh, hell yeah.
with a
Love that.
thing like Game of Thrones,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm all about it.
and and it's just like people love it because that's why we do it, because people love it. It's like handwritten,
Special.
yeah, exactly. And so I think there's really something to it. And again, the appeal of flip phones is that smartphones are too advanced, or it's not that they're too advanced, but in the context of a smartphone world, it's really, really nice to have
Hmm.
something like that. So let me ask you this, because I'm really out of touch with the flip phone world. What do you even get a flip phone? Like who makes them? Like is
Yeah,
it
so let's talk practical. So these are new models these people are buying. They're not digging through bargain bins and they're not on eBay. So TCL makes a popular flip phone that even Selena Gomez tweeted about. It's kind of like a younger resurgence of people. They're one person, they had something called a cat flip. There's that has come up a couple times, but these are newly manufactured models. And another thing, I mean, they work with your carrier. So there's that. And then a
are they
really
5G? I mean, are they
some of them have, yes, there are levels. So the cost, I mean, the cheapest I heard was $30 and the most expensive I heard was $100. So people are also saving money. And then the phone plans are $15. And they have varying levels. Some are really super, they call them dumb phones. Like they really don't have great internet access, or using a browser is very difficult. Whereas other ones do have like an Android processor, they're more connected. It's just, there's just a slight friction to using it all day that kind of deters you subtly, but you can still stay connected. And then another practical thing is that some people do still have a smartphone for specific purposes. So that 19-year-old, his college, he has to do two-factor authentication on a specific app to get into his school systems. So he has a smartphone that just has no plan, and on the Wi-Fi he'll get the notification and do that and then put it away. Or that guy in LA who works in Hollywood, he does kind of like different runs and errands for directors, and he needs Google Maps. Like he can't do his job. They would have no confidence in him as a professional if he couldn't do that. Other
what
issues
is
are,
his actual job?
he's like a production assistant.
When I
So
was
yeah.
a teenager, moved to LA and worked as a gopher for a recording studio, and I didn't have Google Maps. It can be done. I use the Thomas guide.
Yeah, it can't be done. It's just he feels like it's not a good look professionally. And he also might need to get emails of like show notes or you're just things he really needs to be on top of. So, but he has a really cheap plan for his smartphone. So in total, his system he's set up is not more expensive, but he locks away his smartphone at night, and then he just I don't know, he feels more focused, more balanced, he sleeps better when he just uses the flip phone for personal. So it's kind of works really great for him.
Yeah. That's incredible. I also have to point out that there are smartphone alternatives to flip phones that are kind of like there's a subcategory of phones that have e-ink screens, and then there are all these kind of like no distraction phones that are black and white, and they have a limited number of features, but they're essentially a smartphone. It's a full screen. There's no physical buttons. There's a whole range of these things, and they're surprisingly unpopular. Those kinds of things I just mentioned. But in terms of popularity, like how big of a phenomenon is this, do you think? Or how fast is it growing? Is this a real deal? Is this something that's like a significant two-digit percentage of people under the age of 40 are doing? Or is this just like, are
I'll
these just
have
players?
I'll have to look it up. I can't It's definitely not a incredibly niche underground, but it's also not commonplace, although there are schools that are experimenting with it. Like a school in New York City had a flip phone in February where they gave every student a flip phone and so they're playing with it. There is a little bit of a celebrity aspect. Like there was Aziz Ansari came out saying like I don't have a phone or I don't do email. Of course, these people have assistants, but still, it's a choice. So I found examples of many different celebrities as well who do it. And then I do think the younger generation is particularly fed up with technology. Yeah, here's a good example. So that girl, Zoe in Texas, this one broke my heart, actually. It was powerful to talk to her. She's 24 now, and she said, my parents gave me a smartphone when I was 13 and it was a pink iPhone, and they had no restrictions on it. And she said, I didn't have very good parents. I left as soon as I could, but basically I was on my phone and very quickly addicted. And my entire teenage years, like all day, all I did was go on my phone. And as she left the house and she started to get more independent, she started to get just concerned. Like, of course, her parents didn't care. Her parents are completely absent in all of this. They just gave her the phone and just said, go. And she started to get very, really feel addicted and identified that on her own, in herself, no friends or family, just super independent. It was like, I am not doing well. And when she was 20, she on her own made the decision to like research flip phone plans and pull the trigger. Now she's spending her time doing a lot of reading. I mean, yeah, she's still dating. She was one of the ones who was like, yeah, all guys would prefer a girl who's not on her phone all the time. So like, I don't have any problems. And now she does a lot of reading, and she's been reading about psychology and neuroscience. And she's very concerned that she actually physically or, really wired her brain improperly between the ages of 13 and 20. And she's read that, you have until age 25 until your brain is kind of fully formed. And she's like, I have one more year left. Like, I'm reading as much as I can. I'm trying to undo this damage. And it's like, wow, that's what's happening in the younger generation. She knows people who are 6 years old, they can't read, but they're on TikTok all day.
Yeah, it's so sad. But it's incredible, surprising, and unusual for somebody to come to that conclusion on their own, make it happen. Usually what happens is people just get all sucked into the phones, and they're not aware of the degree to which they're sort of living in that phone psychologically. Yeah, it's really impressive, I think, for a young person in a social context where everybody else is on a smartphone. What people normally do is they start following, flip phone TikTok, right? They just sort of observe other people doing it. I think it's really healthy. I also think that there are some people, and by some people I mean myself, also my son Kevin, our producer, is really trying to figure out how to get rid of a phone altogether and just have a watch, and which is a kind of a flip phone idea in the sense that it's not very compelling. You don't really get sucked into that really tiny screen. On the downside, you're always sort of aware of it. It's there on your wrist. You can see it. Whereas a flip phone, you put it in your pocket and you kind of forget it's there. And so I think we'll have many alternatives. I think another scenario that will happen is that people will have a watch and smart glasses. This is going to be kind of the opposite of having a flip phone, because it's literally the quote unquote screen is in front of your face all the time. You kind of know it's there, and you get used to, you'll start thinking about the world as if the world is a phone. Like, for example, have you ever had the feeling that you're reading a book and you want to do a search for something in the book?
Yeah, I mean, I've
You're
definitely
like,
had a feeling where I'm reading a book and I'm starting to think I want to get on my phone. I want to get on my phone.
well, sometimes I have like, there's a microsecond where I want to search the book.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, it's made of dead tree pulp. That's not going to happen. And I've seen videos of kids who, like babies, like 2 year olds, who are trying to swipe. They're trying to swipe through a magazine. They're not flipping the pages. They just think if they run their finger across this magazine,
Hmm.
that it will change. Like that. So I think that's sort of psychological. I don't know. The mental habit will happen with
Hmm.
smartphones. If you get used to augmented reality, you'll want to always be augmented reality. Reality itself will appear as something augmentable psychologically, and I think
Hmm.
that's going to be a problem. I think there's going to be a ton of opt out of smartphones.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because the big question is what is going to make us smarter. And I think these people are highlighting that there is a fork in the road and there is a different way. So Mark Zuckerberg and everyone is saying, oh, if you don't have smart glasses and in the future you don't have a brain implant, your cognition is going to be so much lower than everybody else's that you're just out of society. And so there's that trend to, more information, more information. The AI is so smart. It's making us so smart. It's obsessed with intelligence, even our podcast name, super intelligent. And these people are saying I'm more intelligent, actually going the other way. I'm better at my job. I'm more focused. My art, my work quality, my email quality, my correspondence with people is at a higher caliber. So they're saying they're just going the other way. And I just think it's really interesting to think about, like, what if you and I did that? Or what if more people did that? Maybe we should more seriously consider a different way than just always that new trend, that new technology, the hype, the hype, the hype, which is just so strong right now.
My opinion is that the people you talk to who said that are completely right, and that Mark Zuckerberg is completely wrong. Specifically, what he said in an earnings call is that people who don't have AI glasses in the future will be at a cognitive disadvantage. And
Yeah.
my view, which I wrote about, I may have mentioned on this podcast before, I mentioned on somebody's podcast, maybe it was ours, that what's true is that people will be at an informational advantage in the sense that you'll be able to look things up quickly, and you'll be able to sort of augment your knowledge and your memory with, electronically very easily, because it's on your face, if you're wearing AI glasses. We've seen the brain rot with AI. We've
Hmm.
seen lazy reliance, write this for me. This kind of mindset is the thing that will make us dumber, i.e. cognitive disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
And so I've looked at a couple things in the last 2 days that are relevant to this. One of them is a children's product that is a little printer. It's a little LLM AI printer
Fun.
called Sticker Box or something like this, and it prints out little stickers. Kids talk at it, and they say, "A dinosaur wearing a hat," and then the LLM will create a black and white line drawing of that, and then print it, and then they have the sticker. I think it's horrible. I think what this
That's
is,
like crack for kids.
it's training them that creativity is something that comes from a machine, and you're a passive consumer of the creations of AI, instead of what you really want to give kids is because kids love stickers for some reason. They love everything that has, like, little kids between the age of like 3 and whatever, 10, 11, love every kind of adhesive. They love glue, they love tape, they love all this stuff, and they love stickers. And the best thing you could give a kid is a roll of blank stickers and a bunch of pens.
Hmm.
That's what kids should be doing: learning how to draw, learning how to look at the world, think about the world, how things shape, how do they look, this is just such a fundamental part of human development. And to just offload that to some product, and there's very little criticism of this product out there that I could find. So that's disgusting. I also read this wonderful article. I recommend it to you. I'll put it in the show notes. It's called The Last Useful Man. And it basically, the last useful man is Tom Cruise's character, or Tom Cruise's band of spies, or whatever they are, in Mission Impossible.
Hmm.
So in the last Mission Impossible is a two-part movie. I don't know if you've seen it, Dead Reckoning.
No, Tom Cruise is in my trifecta of aging male actors I'm done with.
You don't like 60 something people jumping off buildings.
No, I just no no, it's Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and Leonardo DiCaprio, I think are really heavily overused in Hollywood, and I try to just do
Yeah.
something new.
Okay.
So yeah,
But along the lines of some of the themes, I would separate Tom Cruise from those because he likes to do real stuff instead of special effects. So
that's
Top Gun
true.
Maverick, they're in real airplanes.
Right.
Well, I guess Brad Pitt too is an F1.
But he is a Scientologist, so he gets a ding. But anyway, he has a useful guy in his movies. So
Yeah.
who's the less useful man?
But also, I need to point out that this article is about the make believe person he portrays in Mission Impossible. In Mission Impossible, they basically there's this thing called the entity. It's basically it's a super intelligent AI.
Mm.
And this trope was invented by William Gibson in Neuromancer 1984. The idea that there's a super intelligent AI that's using people to its own ends. So this entity is hyper connected to literally everything. Like it can watch through any camera. It's everybody's nightmare about what could happen with AI, where it's just omnipresent. It's in
Yeah.
listen to every phone call. And so to defeat it, they have to go old school with all this stuff. And the point of this article, to a certain extent, I've only read about a third of it, but it appears to be the point of this article is how amazing is it that these characters, what a laudable character is, that they know how to do this stuff. They know how to sit there and wire electrical devices on the fly. They know, like, just off the top of their heads, they know how to do all this stuff. And the point is that, like, we're losing that, where people actually know how to do things. They have skills that are actually inside themselves and don't rely on YouTube and referring to electronic help to know things. And it's really a fantastic article. It's really long form. I think it's probably 6,000 words, something like that.
Wow.
It's on Substack.
Sounds great.
Again, I'll link to it in the show notes. But I'm a big believer in this, despite the fact that I myself have very few skills. I really think it's a good idea to have just every kind of skill you could possibly have. But the founder of the modern conservative movement is William F. Buckley, who's the editor of the National Review. I don't know when, 50s, 60s, something like that. So he wrote a book when he was at Yale, which made him a darling he was I guess, the intellectual Charlie Kirk of the piece or whatever. Anyways, there's a documentary on YouTube about his upbringing. And his parents basically turned their home into this skills, like they were learning every skill. They were all homeschool, I guess. He had I think he had a bunch of sisters, and they would go sailing and then horseback riding and shooting and archery, blah blah blah. The whole day was filled with doing all this stuff and learning how to do literally everything. And I just think that's such a great approach to life, to just be mastering as many skills as you can, as fast as you can, and just be somebody who can walk around and be able to do things, to be a useful man or woman, because you know how to do things.
I completely agree. I agree. I mean, as much as I complain about our house and all of our work, like I do think we value gaining those skills and, actually learning what goes into these buildings that we all live in. And yeah, playing outside and all these things will just get you, as opposed to sitting on your computer and every time you have a problem, going on TaskRabbit and hiring somebody,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it all begs the question, are we really trying to be the best we can be? Because, that we have research, we have data that shows, which you've brought up, reading physical books, you retain the information better than electronically. So why don't we read more physical books if we know that they're better for us? And it's the same with how we use our time with, going on social media, or we know that sending an email from our phone might have typos or might not be complete. Maybe we haven't thought about it. We know that maybe if we were sitting at our computer, it'd be a little bit better. We know that, we don't do it. There's just a level of unseriousness in how we approach technology and how we approach ourselves that became more clear to me talking to these people about their flip phones, where they are intentional. They're thinking, what's best for me? How is my brain reacting? I just thought they were very convincing. And like you said, everything they said, I was like, yeah, you're right. I had very little comebacks.
You know what I think is helpful is the degree to which some of the most leading, prominent, and the loudest voices in Silicon Valley are just the worst douchebags imaginable. And so I think part of it is just the knowledge that some of the main people behind many of the technologies are just awful people. The
Right.
worst thing I ever heard a tech CEO say in
Yeah.
recent memory is the Palantir CEO, I forgot his name, literally said, and I'm paraphrasing, if we could just legalize war crimes, it would open up a new
What?
market for business. That
Of
would be
course it would.
fantastic. It's like, I swear there's going to be a revolution where people, like mobs, are going to be attacking these. They're just so awful.
I think the money clouds. The money is so clouding. All these people who are getting rich on it. And even, I mean, it goes down to everyday people. You know, the more, if you feel, the more that you're gonna make more money if you can make a tech product or you can work in tech, or it's just, we are very clearly as a society super prioritizing that.
Right. We have to become more clear about what's happening in our world. So, for example, you mentioned that I mentioned that I had read that reading physical books is much better for memory, for really absorbing the information in a book. I read that on an electronic device on the internet. We have to realize that these things are fantastic tools. I seem to be dissing YouTube as a surrogate for knowledge in terms of having skills, but actually YouTube is the greatest resource.
It
It's a
is.
resource for doing things and gaining skills. If you had taken this resource back to the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, the people would have thought that the world we live in is some kind of utopia,
Hmm.
information utopia, because it is. And the thing that makes it a dystopia is our own stupidity, where
Yes.
we allow our days, our limited days on earth, especially for young people who, youth is fleeting, right? It doesn't last that long. And to spend our days sitting on our asses and just being pure, like, just watching ridiculousness and wasting our time, that's us. It's not the tech. The technology is fantastic. And if you can, like these people you talk to, wake up, realize what's happening to you, realize what's happening to the people around you, decide you want it to be different, and then to use the right technology to get what you want.
Hmm.
Like, you can gain skills by using YouTube as one of your resources. You can be present in your own life by replacing your smartphone with a flip phone. Like, you can have it all. You can have
Right.
all the advantages of technology. You can use AI with a flip phone, right?
Hmm.
It's easy to do. It's free. Like why wouldn't you? You can just right size all the technology, take advantage of it all, but don't let it take advantage of you.
That's what I think they're doing. It's almost like they're doing it right. I mean, they have computers, they have tablets, they're not anti-technology. Actually, two people I talked to are software engineers. Like they they work in technology. They know what's going on. They just realized they weren't getting the most out of it they could. So it's almost like they're doing what you'd think would be a utopia
Hmm.
20, 30 years ago, where it's like, oh, you can have all this information. It's kind of like, where did it go wrong? Because you're right, we do have it, but the addictiveness and the immediacy of smartphones with endless Reddit threads you can browse, endless things you can read, and social media that just latches onto your brain and will not let go. There's just somewhere along the way that utopia, I think people are realizing, didn't fully happen. And these people are trying to get it by creating their own picture of technology based on what's good for them and just taking more control over it. So I thought it was very inspiring.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's a great topic, Emily. I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm going to wrap it up because, first of all, can you listen to podcasts on a flip phone? Sure, you can, right?
You might be able to, but based on my conversations, they would probably not. They would probably, yeah, listen to it some other way on their computer or something
Yep.
else.
And you can watch it on TV, and there's a million ways to listen and watch the podcast. But I would like to thank all of you for paying attention. Let us know what you think. What we're really doing in this podcast is we're looking at the world and what's happening to the world and how technology is changing. Technology is changing our world, our culture, our relationships, and we're trying to understand it. We're trying to reveal what's actually happening. And so what's actually happening is a lot of bad stuff, a lot of good stuff. And so we want to have a balanced view of all of that. But in any event, I want to thank you for listening and watching this podcast. Give us a glowing review, 5 stars. If you can find a place that has 6 stars, give us 6 stars. We'll take all the stars we can get. And And on behalf of Emily Forlini and me, Mike Elgin, I want to thank you again, and we'll see you on the next episode of Super Intelligent Podcast.